Testing out the new camera. I'm liking it so far. Woo! Got that zoom. Oh, Geoff's here. What the hell? Oh, Geoff,
Hell.
What's going on, man?
Ready for the cast?
No, we moved it inside, remember? I told you about this earlier this week.
Oh yeah.
Good day, everybody.
Good day, everyone.
Welcome back to our channel, A Tale of Two Podcasts. This week we are going to be discussing Blair Witch Project.
2016 and Paranormal Part 4. Paranormal Activity 4.
Yes. No, maybe in a future episode. We'll get to all of the sequels.
Blair Witch, made in 1999. Only an hour and 21 minutes. Shocked the world when it came out. A lot of people thought this was real when they first watched it, including myself, even though I had watched it about 4 years after it came out.
Yeah, I think I saw it for the first time whenever I was like old enough to know that it wasn't real, but I definitely saw it with a different light, knowing that like a lot of the audience initially thought that it was real.
Yeah, I was maybe like 7 when I watched this, so I was fully convinced for a while that it was a real found footage.
That's the best age
type
to like
thing.
go
Yeah.
into a found footage film. I mean, I was around that age whenever, I guess I was a little bit older when I first saw Paranormal Activity, but I thought it was real.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity. We'll get to Paranormal Activity as well.
Yeah.
But Blair Witch Project, what did you like and dislike? What did you think of it? It's been a while since you watched it, right?
Yeah, it had been a while. This was the second time I had seen it all the way through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it like a lot. I saw it as a revolutionary piece, for the horror genre, and just for the medium of filmmaking. Like a found footage film, I feel like had been done before, but never captured what like the Blair Witch Project tried to capture. So I see it as a piece like in history more than just its effects as like a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can't say that I was like scared or like ever trembling, but I was enjoying it thoroughly like the entire duration of the movie.
Right.
It's special.
It definitely, I think it put found footage on the map. I think this is what brought it into the mainstream media and made it acceptable. It was truly legendary what it did, the way it just represented itself and how it gets you suspecting, like just straight from the get-go. I mean, it just makes you uneasy as soon as the film starts. There's nothing ever feels right about what you're watching on film.
Yeah, with this film specifically, I think that the opening, it really brings me back to when horror movies would start their films and everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, horror movies still do that nowadays, but this one, it's like almost like the beginning of the internet age, and people aren't as comfortable with being on camera. So like the actors that they're talking to at the beginning of this film, they don't seem like actors; they seem like real people. And I think that's another reason why this film is special, just because like people don't know necessarily how to act in front of cameras at this point, and directing somebody to not know how to act, it's very interesting from an acting standpoint, because I feel like a lot of people could watch the first 15-20 minutes of this movie where they're just letting everybody tell their stories about the Blair
Exactly.
Witch, and they could think that maybe the acting is a little bit poor. Um,
That's what makes it believable. Like as
exactly.
just like a real life situation.
Yeah. And I think that it took me like watching a bunch of found footage movies since Blair Witch and like just just to
Realize
appreciate.
Blair Witch is a very well executed found footage horror movie. I think it
Right.
does it the best out of most found horror. I think any found footage movie being made nowadays is going to reference Blair Witch, whether it likes it or not. I think it's just inevitable at that point. That's how concrete it is with the genre. It's held up for so long. You know, it's 1999 and it's still like the king of its genre because it made it. It's what brought it into this limelight. It
For sure.
executed it well. It knew what it was doing.
Yep. I mean, for a horror movie, like this one's so brave, not to get like off track, but it the filmmaking techniques all throughout it, it's nauseating. It's not like
people. I remember hearing stories about people like leaving the theater and stuff, like throwing up in barf bags.
Yeah, and
when this was in theaters.
I mean, there are entire sequences where the camera's like hardly even staying focused on a character. It's just like the person holding the camera is just swaying it to their side, looking at the ground, like zoomed in close to the ground. It's like
literally just motion. You're just watching.
And that, for some reason, creates and helps build and keep the suspense so well for me. But, you know, jumping back to the beginning of the film, Heather is constantly being stressed throughout the first half of this movie after they enter the woods. I feel like the two guys that she's with, they never actually have like a whole lot of faith in her as like the director of this project, and
they're never taking her seriously. Like they're always just kind of bullshitting her and almost doing what they want to do. Like
so like for me as an audience member, I'm like I'm rooting for her to achieve what she wants. It's like Blair Witch, the being, like I said earlier, I mean, there's not much that's scary about it. It's really just people's stories. It's the imagination that can drive the fear. And I love when horror movies take that approach, but like,
oh, absolutely,
I feel like it's sometimes hit or miss for people.
I feel like this was a huge hit because they leave so much up to the imagination that your imagination almost runs too wild in some parts, and that's what scares you. You ultimately scare yourself with this movie. Nothing ever jumps out and blatantly is spooky or like horrifying. It's just what they're showing you and what you're feeling. Like they do a good job of keeping you in their world. Like make sure the camera's rolling at the right parts and like you're only seeing enough to keep you enthralled, not to keep you like, okay, too much ground or too much sky. Like they do a good job of getting it all in there. And I think they also capture the aspect really well that they don't know each other. And like Heather is like going basically with two strangers into the woods, which can be scary just for a female enough alone. And I think they capture her fear a little bit, like on the first night when she's hearing stuff and she's like, you know, a little more spooked than the other two guys.
Yeah, and just, I mean, I didn't really. How long had they known each other? I didn't pick up on that detail.
They were like meeting, like
they were just meeting for this documentary.
I think Heather and Josh knew each other like for a little bit, like not very long, like maybe a week or like if that. And then Heather and Mike, like they introduce each other. She says hi.
Yeah, okay.
Like, they meet for the first time right then and there. But Josh and Mike have known each other a little longer, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one was the guy with long hair?
I think that was Mike.
I think so too. Mike is sketchy from the get-go.
Yeah, Mike has like a poker face on his whole time. He never really shows any emotion on camera, at least, but his voice does if you listen closely when he's talking, like behind it and stuff.
And I didn't write down too many notes about like when they first get into the woods up until like they start being lost and like the map gets kicked into the creek. But
can we talk about that map scene real quick? How many times they say the map?
I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map.
I gave you back the map, Heather.
I gave you the map.
I gave you back the map.
I think that's just like a common little, if you know the movie, it's like a comedy little, it's a fun little bit, you know, just to watch. We're like, the map. It's like every 2 seconds for like a solid 5-minute scene.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say about the guy with the long hair, I guess Mike, or
Yeah, I think. Let me double check.
he, I mean, he starts out seeming like the sketchy one, but right when they start getting that sense of fear, like we're lost as a group, he actually turns into the one that's keeping the group together and making sure that
Yeah.
that the short hair guy, I guess Josh and Heather aren't bickering, and he is like he turns into more of a wholesome character at that point, and the other guy turns into a complete dick to the point.
I think Mike is the short-haired one, actually.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
I flipped that up. Mike turns into a complete dick,
Yeah.
and to the point to where he kicks the map into the creek.
Yeah.
I mean, he loses his mind.
But like he leads them on to think that they had lost it at first. He doesn't blatantly come out and just say he kicked it. He lets them shit themselves for a little bit first, and then you got kind of gets the giggles and gives it up himself almost because like he couldn't hide how funny it was to him, which is kind of fucked and sick when you think about it.
Yeah, and I love how each day that goes by that they're in the woods, you get a sense of like they are friends.
Yeah.
Somewhat. They can goof around, they can laugh and joke, but every single day the terror and the tension just twists a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
to the point where like the last day is nothing but pure terror and tension. The whole like.
yeah, and even
nonstop.
on that last day, skipping ahead, it's just like there is a moment where that one guy is lost.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, is it just Mike? And
Yeah, and Mike and Heather end up getting together. Josh ends up getting lost.
yes,
and,
Josh.
Yeah.
Josh is the lost one. So, but like, there's a quick second where Heather. I mean, she should be at her most stressed state, but she is just filming her fingernails.
Yeah.
Like she's just disassociating.
Yeah, she's given up almost, like, or she's like her body's in just such shock that it's trying to preserve whatever sanity or like whatever sanity and energy they can, like, because if it continues to freak out as it is, it's gonna get drained and she's not gonna be able to continue, obviously, and then like that's when she's gonna be in real trouble. So she's just like
That's kind of what I mean at the
Preserving.
beginning of just like it makes the audience member lose their mind with Heather.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when this next part occurs in the film. I guess it might happen after the map is lost.
Yeah.
Or it might happen right before the map is lost. But they stumble upon the same branch leading across, like the
That
bridge.
was when they still had the map, I think.
They still had the map. When Heather is filming like us as the audience going up to that log, and she's just like, it can't be the same one, and she's just like, she's vocalizing.
Oh yeah, she's a great voice actor in this movie. Yeah,
I agree, but she's trying to just doubt herself, even though the reality is right in front of her that it's the same log.
Yeah.
And she just starts crying, and she knows that the other two guys are like going to. I mean, it just looks terrible on her. It makes it seem like she's completely lost, which
she's fucked them over, like, which she kind of has. Or they.
Yeah, she totally has. I feel like if I were with her and she was like my director, and she just kept saying, "Okay, 2 more hours, and we'll see the car." Oh my lord, I would be upset.
That'd be a hostile work environment at that point.
Yeah, and then like after 6 hours of searching, we just have to camp in the woods for the night. That's one thing. In the night scenes. I guess there's a couple where spooky stuff happens. One that comes to mind is they're all in their tent and they can hear children laughing outside of their tents, or just like soft. I guess it might just be a woman's laughter, but it sounded like children to me, chuckling, and things like that. They completely. Like for found footage, if there's audio that's like just put into the film, it kind of takes me out of it.
Really?
Yeah, and I kind of wish that there was absolutely no guarantee on the paranormal side of this film. I wish that like it was nothing but psychological terror with this added element of Blair Witch. Because whenever I heard, the actual phenomenon of the the woman laughing or the kids laughing, I was like, okay, there's no mischief going on with the other two guy characters. They hear this too. So something out there is following them. And for audiences back in the day, I feel like that's what they needed. But like for a film of this legacy, I just personally wish that they put all of their eggs in the basket of like psychological horror.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make up your own
Right.
monster in your own head.
And they do that for like all of the rest of the film, I feel like, up until the end. There's not a lot of psychological stuff. I'm sorry.
At the end, it's really not anything. Like even the whole movie, that's kind of the only part you get is just a little giggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the issues with that, but yeah, let's talk about the ending.
Okay.
Do you think the Blair Witch got her, or do you think that or do you think it was just pure shock and horror, or do you think something else attacked her?
I think the Blair Witch got her.
Yeah.
I think that that was the product of the Blair Witch.
Mm-hmm. And they just found the tapes in the daytime.
Yeah. Or the Blair Witch just turned herself in.
Let's talk about the Blair Witch conspiracy, if you'd like.
Okay.
So there is a conspiracy surrounding the Blair Witch. I'm not going to get into it too in depth. I think the film theorists, they did a 17-minute video on it about 5 years ago. Great YouTube video. I highly recommend you watching it if you've already seen the Blair Witch and you want to rewatch it soon. Go in with this different mindset to watch this YouTube video. But basically, it just says that the Blair Witch, the two, Michael and Joshua, used this opportunity to kill Heather in the woods because they just wanted to kill someone, and they saw the opportunity of the Blair Witch story around and like her wanting to make it, and just kind of leaped on it. And that kind of explains why like the footage was found so easily, even though it was in like the Blair Witch's actual lair. Like people were still able to retrieve it, and also the problems you had like with the giggling, it shows that they could have like set something up or had somebody else in on it to like just mess with them a little further. And I think it's a great YouTube video. I think people should go into it with a different mindset, and I think it really
definitely it flips your perspective on the movie, and you get to watch it with a different tint.
It's not like a loosely picked up theory either. There's some damning evidence with this, and I think it was intentional. I think this theory was just figured out as the intentional plot of what the writers were trying to achieve, which makes this movie 10 times better for me, in my opinion, because it's almost blatantly like right there in front of you whenever you do watch the video and go in with the new theory in mind.
Yeah, and I definitely did go into watching this film with that theory in mind, and I was writing down like every note for the guy characters being sketchy or doing something that wasn't really explained, but I think everything that I wrote down could have been just assigned to the idea of these guys don't trust Heather, and the tension is building because they're isolated in the woods. Like, however, there's also this other way that you can look at it. Like, these guys are acting funny and letting Heather have confidence in herself, but still like breaking it down and like playing this game with her to get her completely scared.
Yeah.
And to kill her, ultimately probably do some other things to her. And it's like that's terrible, scary horror that I'm into, because I mean, just like crime related
horror,
it's reality.
That's gonna happen. It can.
But like it's fun to watch this movie with that tent, but the things with like the kids laughing outside of the tent, like there could have been more people in on it, but I just think that kind of confirms that it's actually just the Blair Witch, and like the writers were going for psychological horror based on just the Blair Witch rather than like, and I was hoping to have a little bit more confirmation that that theory was real, because I really like that theory. And after not seeing Blair Witch for a while, like thinking about it and watching that video, I mean, it opened my eyes seemingly to how the film should be perceived.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Out of 100, what you giving this?
Shoot. I think it's the best of its kind. So with that being said, like it's gonna be a positive rating. However, I'm not gonna return to this film like every Halloween like I do other films. Um, it's a great film. I think that I'm gonna have to put it at about an 88. 88.
I would have to give this 92.
92?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's probably as high as a found footage can get. I don't think you can ever have like a perfect found footage because
No.
I don't think it would really capture the found footage essence of it. But yeah, I think this is damn close to perfect as much as you can execute it, and I would give it like a 92.
I respect that rating. I think that we might see a perfect horror movie in the new Paranormal Activity that's coming out. That trailer that just
That
dropped.
trailer did look pretty good. Yeah, that
Mhm.
new Paranormal Activity movie.
You
I
know-
watched that trailer not knowing it was a Paranormal Activity movie. I just thought it was a new found footage movie. Like my dad queued it up and was like, "Come watch this," and I
Dude,
sat down and watched it. And then at the end, it was like Paranormal Activity, and I was like, "Whoa, fuck!"
For a little bit, I couldn't really figure out if it was found footage or if they were just using like high def cameras in a way I had never seen them before. Because those cameras were so like beautiful, or I guess the lenses they were using just for that new Paranormal Activity trailer. It doesn't seem found footage
Yeah,
at all. It just seems like The Visit. You know how? Did you see The Visit?
yeah, I've seen the visit.
That film used a really high def camera, and I liked it. I thought that was like a really goofy movie. Fucking when the old people started like banging their shit on the ground and like
Yeah.
I thought that was the funniest thing in the world for some reason. I don't know why.
You want to watch that trailer real quick?
Yeah, sure. Paranormal Activity is one of the scariest movies of all time.
It's a hard disagree.
Yeah. You will be affected as it's hard to ignore the imprint it leaves on your psyche. That's so pretentious. How could you stick that on the cover of your DVD? What happens when you sleep?
This isn't Nightmare on Elm Street. What are they fucking trying to pull off?
Honestly, people are gonna like seek out the next one no matter what, just because of like this one.
Yeah.
Or maybe the second one or the third one.
Paranormal Activity.
Yes. Yeah, I chose this movie. It had been a while since you had seen it.
Yes.
What did you think?
To be honest, I found myself dozing off in a lot of parts
Oh yeah?
that were just long-winded. Like the
Shoot.
conversation parts where like he's kind of holding the camera like at his side, like kind of in the middle where they're arguing a lot. That one was. Those are kind of like. Those were a little long-winded for me. I mean, I think it did a lot of things well, but I think there was a lot of things it could have improved on. Like.
Oh yeah, I agree.
One of the things off the bat is we talked about this a little bit already. Is the intro. The whole like first 20 minutes of this movie is like almost unbearable, just with the acting and the portrayal of the characters and the camera and stuff like that.
It's like guilty pleasure level
Yeah.
for me because I watched it like really young, and at a certain point I was like invested in the characters, I remember. But like actually believing that Katie's whereabouts was still a mystery. Like I was into it. But like now it's just been so long since I've seen it. Or I guess it's just been like a little over a year, but I kind of picked up on just how like a little hard the writing is to get through, and then that affects like the acting.
They say low budget, they mean it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it did do a lot of things well. I think one of the things it did amazing is it built tension. It knew how to build tension in the right scenario when it needed to. Like the scene where they're just kind of lying in bed and it's pitch black. That first night where nothing even happens, you know, you still get a little bit on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh,
for sure.
Kind of like, oh shit. You know, they do a good job of placing the camera, just having it be just silent enough. Like it's not dead silent to where you can't hear anything, but it's quiet enough to where it makes you like a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah. I think that one of like going off of that, one of the things that this movie actually does to revolutionize like the found footage genre is they leave you alone with just the camera,
Oh,
like in
right,
an
absolutely.
empty room. No, not all the time is like a human conscious.
Right.
And I mean, the tagline right here on the poster is "What happens when you sleep."
Yeah.
I guess. Oh, there's a second part. Oh, it's just saying don't see it alone because it's the scariest movie to ever be released. This movie is not as scary as The Exorcist. But anyway,
I don't think
like
this movie is scary as the Babadook.
no, the Babadook is definitely scarier.
Babadook's a menace.
But yeah, just like being alone in a room with like only
Yeah.
a camera, or even like in other horror movies that I've seen, like found footage ones, if the camera is picked up by someone who's like not the person that's supposed to have the camera,
Right.
it like instantly gets scarier because you're just with this like unsafe
A
being.
stranger almost, right?
A
Like you
stranger,
feel-
yeah.
Yeah, like you're taken.
I guess if we want to talk more about the beginning before like discussing the end, because there's just like not a lot of shit that goes on that is worth discussing.
You didn't watch the alternate ending.
Oh yeah, but haven't we watched that before, or have
No.
you haven't?
You want to explain the alternate ending for us real quick, if you remember it?
Yeah.
be
Well,
exciting.
okay, so. Oh shit, dude! I would need a
We're
refresher.
gonna take a tea break real quick and then watch it.
Yeah.
All right. Did you rewind?
Mm-mm.
This is there. So somebody walked in, screamed, and walked out.
Yeah.
Oh. Damn.
What'd you think of that?
That's better than the original.
Honestly, isn't
Yeah.
it? Holy
I don't know why they
moly!
didn't just keep that.
That is so fucking powerful.
Yeah, it's way better. Yeah, the alternate ending is definitely,
More impactful.
definitely like just.
It's a slow
It's a better
burn.
punch.
It's a slow burn. So like I don't know if after I would have watched like an hour and whatever minutes beforehand, I would be like into a slow, just like Katie swaying, but like
Yeah.
the ending is unexpected and it really makes you, it takes a toll on your mental. Like the first one, it just, of course it's more mainstream, like the
Yeah.
theatrical version, but it's just a jump scare and then
Yeah.
like the scary face thing, and I mean that was scary as
Yeah,
fuck.
it was scary, but this one was fucking insane. This one was
Yeah.
fucking-
I mean, honestly, one of the more creepy elements to what happens like as the nights progress, I think, is Katie like
losing her
just
sanity.
yeah, and like kind of getting possessed. I think that when she stands up that first time and just watches over Mika, it's really spooky, but like I don't know, I noticed this time that like she definitely doesn't have a good acting like asleep face
Yeah.
as she turns towards the camera, and I really wish they would have just retaken that shot because it completely kills like the suspense for me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it used to just be like a really awesome creepy ass
Yeah.
moment, and then like
notice the face. I have to rewatch that scene.
yeah, I don't know why it actually like got to me this
Yeah.
time. Usually that type of thing, like I just let it blow by, but she like her eyes were trying to avoid the camera so hard that it looked obvious.
Oh, really?
And maybe that's
she
just
could just
me.
naturally like just pan.
Yeah, or like just act
Yeah.
asleep. Like don't move your eyes. She was like moving her eyes around the room, and I'm like,
Trying
you
to
gotta,
figure out which way is which.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe if I rewatched that today, I wouldn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
But like later on in the film, she stands over like closer to Mika's side. Maybe it's the last night or the second to last night.
Oh, where she walks all the way around and stands like right over him.
Yeah, that shit is so like
Yeah.
that really this time I thought that was super effective. Just her being so close to him, and he was like moving around. He was at his most like vulnerable
He's
state.
comfortable. Yeah, she could have just done anything.
Yeah. I sometimes like laying in bed, I think because of that, like I feel like somebody could be standing behind me. And that's just like, imagine just turning over and there's just a fucking figure right there. After what they've been going through too.
And it's your wife, and like, oh god.
Yeah. There's not much you can do.
Yeah.
But
It could be fucking terrifying. Even the people you know and love can be fucking terrifying in some instances.
yeah, getting into this relationship. I mean, poor Mika, I understand because they kind of gloss over it.
Yeah. About how she was like kind of haunted all before this, and it's really just her fault.
Yeah.
He was like,
And yeah, she didn't really discuss that information with him
his life
before.
was so just calm, and then it gets fucked up by all this.
Yeah, the demon is like straight up targeting Mika at a certain point because it's Katie's demon, I guess. But one thing just about the ending, it's like still to this day, I think super effective. Just seeing the last night, like, or I don't know exactly what number, but like you know that it's the last night.
Yeah.
And I just think that like to this day it holds up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should give this a rating, but I think you should give it a rating with the theatrical ending and then the original ending.
Okay. That's
so
a good
theatrical
idea.
and original first, if you would
Okay.
like to go or I can go first.
Yeah, you go first. I need a sec.
So with the theatrical ending, I'd give this an 82. You know, I thought it was strong. I didn't think it was a bad movie. It did what it was supposed to do. It entertained and it scared him a little bit too.
Yeah.
But with that original ending, I should say, original ending brings it up to like an 87, 88.
Yeah.
Probably an 88. Yeah, it just brings it up to like a B plus. It just makes it that much better, I think, and more effective.
Nice. I agree. I'm going to go a little harder on the theatrical release. I'm going to say that that's probably like a C plus, around like a 75 to to 79, anywhere in that range. And then with the alternate original ending, I think that pushes it to a B minus.
Yeah.
Probably close to like an 80, 84.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. All right. Well, Paranormal Activity and the Blair Witch Project. Let us know if y'all have seen them, what your thoughts on them are, and join us next week for
A Tale of Two Movies.
We'll discuss. Just cuts.
Yep. That's a wrap.
And we cut.